Guys, welcome back to another very, very exciting case study interview. Welcome, Dylan.
Hey guys, what's up?
Dude, pleasure to have you here. Super excited for this one. Just a quick highlight, guys. So, Dylan, in his fifth month of high ticket sales, well, actually, 3 months actually selling, but fifth month in RSA, he hit 13.5K in commissions just last month, which is pretty cool. Considering it took me a lot longer to reach that milestone, my clients are achieving that way faster than I ever could have thought possible. So it's super excited to have you here, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
It's a fantastic result, and no one deserves it more. You're one of those guys that have shown up to the trainings consistently, put in the effort, put in the work day in, day out, always asking questions, always attentive, always showing up. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on, if you're looking to join the RSA, what you should have as expectations coming into this, so you can kind of model what Dylan's done to be successful. But before we dive into that, as I always want to dive in these case studies to a client's background, because I think it's important for a lot of guys who are looking at this industry of if I'm kind of like Dylan, then I can most likely do this as well. And it's a very big thing for me. I'd like to point out that I'm just a guy, Dylan's just a guy as well. And you're probably watching this as just a guy who wants to make this work. You don't have to be anything special. And I think it's important to realize that just like myself, Dylan is just, he's got the same backstory as everyone else, right? There's always the different business models you've tried, there's always the different things you've failed to make your way to get here. So let's go all the way back before you met me, man. You were in corporate sales when we
Yeah,
started working together, but if you want to go back further,
yeah,
let's start where you want to start.
for sure. Yeah, so like going way, way back, um, well, I was like making music and stuff. Like I used to produce music, make like beats and stuff, like hip hop beats. And I think that was sort of my indirect introduction into sales actually. So like the first beat I sold was like probably like $30. The second beat I sold was like 250 USD. And then like I set up it was like a BeatStar, I think on the website called BeatStar or something like that. And then so I had like sales from that. I tried ecom. I tried yeah, I tried like a lot of like different, like business models and stuff. But yeah, eventually I sort of just was like at a bit of a standstill in my life and I moved over to Australia. And like I wanted a job. I tried out like sales and marketing at this like freight forwarding company. That wasn't really my thing. And then I sort of found a different job, and then that's what really got me into sales. Like initially, I was
Mm.
doing cold calling. I was actually selling fuel cards, and it was like 8 to 9 months, but it was intense, man. Because like it was first of all like I live pretty rurally, like I live pretty out in the country, and I had to get like a train 1 hour there, 1 hour back. It was a bit of a grind. Um, but yeah, like pretty much selling fuel cards, just slanging that on the phone, talking to a lot of business owners, like, the typical sort of like sometimes like they're like F off that and that sort of thing, which
Yeah.
is really good. It was fun, man. It was actually sort of fun. Like it was a bit like I wouldn't say it was like Wolf of Wall Street, but like they had a massive board and they put up like your name and if you got a sale, like everybody would clap in the office. It was a pretty good environment, but I sort of felt like I was personally like I was like made for more, like I can do way more than this. Like in terms of
Mm.
like the money I'm earning, you know, like not having to be in an office, not having to travel by train every day, those sorts of things. So I felt like there was way, way more for me. And I essentially, well, actually, I was following this guy called Jackson D. Terry at the time. Like I was
Hmm.
following him for like quite a couple months. Um, and he was like doing cold calling and stuff like that. And yeah, I sort of like saw he cracked like 10K and I was like, oh, this has got to be like high ticket sales and stuff like that. And I like hit him up and then he sent me that interview of like Kashi, him and all those other guys. And then I was like, I need to do this. Like I need to get into the RSA, like get mentored by Connor and all of that stuff. But actually, a little bit of backstory context on that. Before I actually joined the RSA, I was actually in like this other course, this mentorship, but it was a bit interesting. It wasn't like proper, I'd say, but yeah, it was an interesting one, and it was basically like the dude was making me build his offer. But
Right.
yeah, a learning curve too. But it was good. It was good. But yeah, I'm
Interesting.
really happy to
So
join that RSA. Yeah.
no, I love that. So was that anything to do with high ticket sales or no?
It was like somewhat. It was like foreign. He was doing like foreign direct investment. Like making magazines and stuff like that. It didn't really give me much of an understanding of high ticket sales, I'd say. But it was, yeah, it was an interesting one. But yeah, the
Interesting.
way I initially got into high ticket sales, I'd say, is like through Jackson, like seeing that interview, you know,
Mm.
through what you built up, essentially, like with the videos you posted. If that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't even be here right now. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that was the whole purpose of that interview with the guys in Dubai as well. It's like those guys are so young, making such insane money in Dubai, which I know for a lot of young guys watching this, it's become more apparent to me that seems to be the dream. Making a lot of money and being in Dubai. That just seems like a lot of young guys are really aspiring to do that these days. So yeah, it's cool to have those guys on like a bit of a podcast setting. And I thought that a lot of people would get a lot of value from that because they're just real people. They just work extremely hard. Like every
Mm.
single one of those guys in that panel that day were just extremely hard workers. But for a bit of contrast, I wanted to highlight this before we continue with the rest of the call. We spoke about before we hit record the amount of commissions that you've earned this month. What did you
Yeah.
say that it was contrast to how many months it would take you to earn in your past job in a singular
Yeah.
month?
So essentially, like what I've earned this month, I would have earned so I've earned 4 months of what I would have earned in my old job. So in
Wow,
just 1 month. So for me, like
crazy.
that's massive for me personally, because it's like, if I can collapse the time it takes to actually make money, like obviously, I'll be able to get to my goals faster, do the things I want to do a lot quicker. And that's
Yeah.
massive for me. So,
That's crazy. And so in 3 months of the year, you could basically earn your old year's salary,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
which is pretty nuts. Um, and before we move on, because I'm quite curious myself, and I'm sure listeners are as well. What are fuel cards, and like, what are you actually doing for businesses when you're in your previous job?
Yeah, so when I was doing that, I was selling like different like multinational company fuel cards, for example, like Shell or something like that. So we would help like business owners essentially save money on fuel. So they'd use like the fuel card, then they'd pay like a membership for that sort of thing. So I would have to call them up like out of the random, like while they were working, stuff like that. Um, construction heavy guys, like dudes in the construction industry, that sort of thing, mostly who have large fleets of cars. And then it was funny because the whole process was like I'd have to take them through that, introduce them to it, and then I'd have to get a front and back picture for their driver's license over the phone. And that was like, that's a bit of a leap, but I was doing that. I think my highest record was like maybe 5 sales in a day. But yeah, it was an interesting process as well. Yeah.
And how much was like the ticket volume? Like, what was the price of what you were selling?
Oh, it was like $2.50 per card. Yeah, $2.50. But that was like they had like a set thing where it was like if you got 30 cards, if I
Mm.
think if you got up to 30 cards, you'd be at like $100 commission. Then if you got to like 40 cards, you'd be like $200 commission. 30 card, 40, 50, 60, that sort of thing. But of course, like you'd be lucky to, like my highest was maybe like I think I got like 68 vehicles
Mm.
when I signed up, which was yeah, not too bad. But yeah.
Insane. And it absolutely blows my mind to think about this as well. As at the moment, we're definitely attracting a lot of guys who are coming from traditional sales to high ticket sales. It's piqued their curiosity. Um, this is super fascinating to think about. So you've gone from, selling cards for 250 to now, what do you sell at the moment? Like
Yeah.
how are you helping people transition into what you're doing now?
Yeah, so essentially I am on like a property offer. And I help like people get into the property space and make money with that. But like it's the package is probably worth like anywhere from like 6,500 up to 7,000. And if it's a PIF, it's like 5,200. And they've actually raised the price to 6,000. But it's obviously, yeah, massive like difference to like fuel cards. And like
Yeah.
just when I got that first PIF, I was like, bro, like I can actually do this. Like it's insane to me that like I've learned a skill that I can actually persuade and influence someone to actually pay that much money as well, which is amazing. Yeah.
It's crazy to think about, man. So like you've gone from selling something so low ticket to so high ticket in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And per sale, like what do you actually end up making? Like 10% commission?
Yeah, so I'm making around I think 15% commission because I do like setting and the closing as
Yeah.
well. So it's like
hmm
pretty, yeah, it's kind of a hustle, but it's yeah, it's you get what you put in basically. Yeah, in
Yeah, which
terms of
is
what.
insane. So 15% per sale is like around like $750 a sale around
Yeah,
that range.
yeah, yeah,
So you've gone from, $100 commission for selling how many cards
yeah,
to $750 just for one sales call.
yeah. It's insane.
It's honestly kind of insane. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure like if there's a tr more traditional corporate like sales guy listening to this, it just honestly blows my mind. Because on top of that, yes, you are still working a lot, which we'll go into that here in a second of like you're still putting in the hours, you're still working extremely hard. This is not like a business model where you're kind of just coming in and
Yeah,
just kicking your feet up and taking three to
yeah,
five sales calls a day. Like it's actually
yeah.
proper grind and it takes work. Um, but at the end of the day, you're able to earn way more. The ceiling's way higher with less
Mhm.
effort. Well, the same effort you're putting into the fuel card job, you're now making, three, 4x what you were making before. But
Yeah,
now you also have somewhat of a geographical independence as well. Like, after you've had a couple of months of stacking some cash, I'm sure, you could always travel to Thailand or Bali or wherever else you want to go.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like that's the thing because for me, man, it's like how do we move up the levels of like freedom? Like that's essentially what I wanted to do. So I was like, how do I? It's that Hunter S. Thompson quote. He goes like, it's like you want to find the way you want to live, and then you want to find the vehicle in which you can it enables you to live that way. And so I was thinking about that, and I think yeah, high ticket sales is like the perfect thing for that. And it's yeah, it's not of course it's like hard work, but like it gives you a bit more freedom than what you would get being stuck in an office, like catching the train every day, that sort of thing, you know?
I was actually talking to Zen about that the other day on that interview that we did. And the whole concept that I can't even just conceptualize that you have gone through yourself is
Hmm.
being and having to commute 1 hour to a job and 1 hour back. Like I've never actually really I can't really I've never done that myself, so I can't like see how like challenging that would be and how annoying
Hmm.
that must be. Like getting stacked up over a week and a couple months and a year. That's so much
Yeah,
time that you've just then lost that you're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's honestly crazy.
yeah. It is. It is a lot of time. And that's the thing, I think, like, like having to like you'll be tired after work. You'll become going on the train, then you have to stand up because there's like loads of people. And my stop, because I live out in the country, like I'd be the last stop, so I'd be like standing for most of the trip and then like getting off the train. It was like, bro, it's like I just want to have a sleep or something like that, like yeah.
Yeah, you got absolutely no time for yourself. It's
Yeah,
honestly a
exactly.
crazy way to live. Like if there's an alternative like this, like high ticket sales, and then someone's looking at it, it's like, what
Hmm.
more proof do you need? Like this would be like the
No,
39th interview or something crazy like that on the channel. It's like just there's so much proof of people doing this, but I digress. So we know that you sell and we help people get into property, and the
hmm.
ticket value that you're selling is quite high now you've transitioned. I
Yeah,
think, as I want to point out, when you join the training program, what was that like? Because usually that's quite a lot. You're kind of thrown into the deep end in a way. It's a new space. There's lots of information. It's new industry. There's new people. There's a lot kind of going on when you join the training program. I know that from when I first started out. So to take the guys through, you joined my training program. We didn't have a sales call. You joined over the DMs. You're pretty comfortable just
yeah,
kind of jumping in. You knew what you wanted to
yeah.
do. Um, what was the next steps from there? Like, were you overwhelmed? Was a lot to focus on? Like, what was the next steps when you actually joined the program?
Yeah, so it was like for me, like I remember you posted something on Instagram and like I think I just had just enough money to sort of get my foot in the door and I was like, I'm gonna take the opportunity, you know? But yeah, for me, like joining up, it was just like, yeah, it's massive. Like being a part of a community, you know, tons of people who are on the same journey as well. But just like clicking on the win section, just seeing like the actual results is just awesome. Um, but yeah, it was just like all I need to do now is I paid some of the money, and what I need to do now is just commit myself, you know. So that was sort of like the big leap for me, just committing to myself and committing to actually getting the results that I wanted.
Mm,
Yeah, putting in the work and just showing up, you know, just showing up to most calls and doing the best that I can do. Yeah.
yeah. And for you, you went straight in. When was it when you actually got your first role?
So it would have been, I think, I was on like a, I was on like a, I was looking into like an offer, like before I joined this offer, but
Hmm.
it didn't really sit with me well. Um, and I wasn't able to like transition out of my job. But then as soon as I got this offer, which was like 3 months ago, I was like, that's it. Like I'm just gonna do it because I know it's like a pretty decent offer. Um, but yeah, I sort of just took the leap and that was it for me.
That was great. So you didn't really have too many bad experiences when you were bad offers before you joined this one.
Nah, didn't re- not nah, I didn't really. Not at all. Yeah.
Pretty good. Okay, streamlined straight through.
Oh,
And
yeah.
how did you actually find that job? Was it through network or was it a job post
Yeah.
or
So it was like fully through, like actually through networking, just purely through networking, which is I'm really grateful for. My mate Jay, like just put me on. He gave me an opportunity. He gave me a chance to, you know, have an offer, so I didn't like have to, you know, go through like looking for different offers and stuff like that. But it actually did. I actually did look for a lot of offers. I did some interviews and stuff, and I went through like Facebook groups and stuff like that. But networking is like super powerful because like from that I realized like one person, just one conversation can actually change the whole trajectory of like where you're going. And actually it's funny because like I think he saw my message, um, and he was gonna like he thought it was like a spam like robot message thing, and he was gonna like put it into the archive folder. But if he did that, like I wouldn't even like have made how much I've made now, which is crazy.
wild?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how networking works, right? You've got one connection, one conversation, one relationship away.
Mhm.
It's really in any industry, but particularly with high ticket sales,
Mhm.
that's why we emphasize such a heavy importance on learning networking and getting very good at offer acquisition because that's the skill that most reps lack. You know, we've got guys in the training program who have been in a space of 6 months who haven't really made a huge amount of income fully transparently, right? We have
Mhm.
a ton of guys who do very well in the training program, but we also have people who don't get the results that they hoped they wanted. The reason is very much because of bad decision making, not leaning on support systems, not coming to training calls, not asking me or any of the team questions. It's usually how it happens. But we've got guys who've been training and doing very well in terms of their skill level for 6 months, but they're not really earning much because they're not very good at offer acquisition, which we talk
Yeah.
about as a recurring theme of how important it is of just being very, very good at making good decisions and also
Yeah.
being able to put yourself in front of opportunities that actually can help you make good money in the space. Because
Yeah.
without that, you know, you can be as good as you can selling, but if you've got no one to sell to and you've got no good packages to sell, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, it's really it's definitely helped me out like a lot, like just networking. You know, I didn't even know him and I just sort of sent a message. And then yeah, the rest was history. But in terms of like bad offers, I'd say when I joined that other like program I was in, like I basically was working on a bad offer. Like I'd come home and then I'd be like making cold calls to people in like Dubai, I think, like business owners in Dubai, and then I'll be like sending out emails and stuff like that. But
Crazy.
yeah, so that was a bit
And
of an
you
experience. I think I was doing for that 2 months or something.
and
Yeah.
you paid for that?
Yeah, I paid for that. Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I think
Yeah,
it's our space is the
yeah,
info space is just full of
yeah,
wonderful people and wonderful things. There's
mm,
heavy
yeah.
sarcasm on that, by the way. So yeah, what does it really take to be successful in this industry, do you think? Because you've got some quite fast results in the space, you've done extremely well, and you're definitely a model type client. I've spoke about this before we hit record. Like you've been one of those guys that have constantly shown up on calls consistently, always asking questions, always asking for help, always keen to learn more. And even willing to have your call recordings pulled apart, even though it's super uncomfortable. Like that's how we learn, that's how we get better faster. So if you're, speaking to a beginner now, or you're speaking to a past version of yourself before getting in the industry, what do you think it personally takes to be successful and actually make money with this?
I'd say first of all, like get like a proper mentor like Connor. Like definitely join a good community like RSA and write down your goals. Like even before I hit that 10K goal that I wanted to, like I wrote it down. I even put the specific date, which was I think it was June, April to June, and I hit it right on May. So write down your goals. There's like power in that, and then also like don't give up. Like make sure you're connected as well. Make sure like you have friends in the space because like I don't think I'd like last long without like a proper like network or like friends, like people to talk to, in this space. It's a lot easier when you have people to walk this with because it's not like easy. It is a bit of a roller coaster, but like if you
Mhm.
can have people and just even like joining the RSA calls is so cool. Like just seeing people, just talking to people, doing RPs with them, like knowing that you're actually part of something, knowing that you actually have the proper guidance. It's super, super helpful and it's key. And I'd
Mm.
say the reason why I showed up a lot was because from like your past interviews, that seemed to be the common theme. So I was like, well, if that's it, well, I'll just do that. So that's
Mm.
essentially what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really key. Like if you're looking to join the community and work with me, that's the number one thing I look for. I just know someone's going to be successful given enough time if
Mm.
they come to group coaching calls and they ask questions. Like it's really that simple. And every single case study without fail. We have four lined up this week. We've got yourself, Levi, Josh, and Zen. We've still got a ton more in the pipeline as well. I'm aiming for 60 this year. That'd be my goal. Um, it's the same recurring theme. You see those same guys on coaching calls every single week, always
Yeah.
asking questions, always participating. There is always some different, sometimes there's some people who don't necessarily do that, and that's fine because they get training on the offer that they're on. But from the majority of what I've seen across the board, that's usually typically where most people get the results from. So if you're looking to join the training program, that should be your main intention and focus. Use the resources, actually use the training program to its fullest ability, fullest capacity, and just take advantage of such a great opportunity. I think that personally, from what I've seen in the space, there's nothing that actually exists like the RSA. Um,
Mhm.
6 years experience, or nearly 6 years experience by the end of this year, but from myself, one-to-one coaching. The amount of attendance on coaching calls is practically one-to-one on group calls. We have a massive community, but we also have very low attendance on coaching calls because, as I say all the time, the bar is very, very low. People will say that they want to do something, but very few people actually will commit to doing it, actually really
Yeah.
continuously show up and ask questions and be attentive. So the cake is there for the taking if you're watching this as a beginner. Like there's really no better time than now to be doing this. Who knows how long the RSA is going to stay like this, right? We've we're constantly growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think in terms of taking advantage of such an opportunity, it would be the time to do now. Because there's honestly,
Mm.
I've spent a lot of money on mentorships info. I've spent 250,000 Australian dollars on mentorships, coaches, courses, masterminds. There's nothing like what I've seen in the RSA in terms of the support, in terms of the time, in terms of the intimacy that you get with a guy you want to learn from. It's really unparamount. And I've seen that most clients, when I talk to them on these interviews, after selling multiple different training programs and info, they've told me the contrast is just night and day in terms of like the one-on-one access that you actually get.
No, 100%. Like honestly, I think it's accelerated my path like so much. Just the doors that have been opened, just being part of the RSA, the success that you see, being able to be around people who've actually been there and done that, and like to be coached by them as well is awesome. Like if you just show up and you just put in the effort, like you will get the results that you want, you know? So like it's sort of strange, but like I wish I did it sooner. Like I actually was talking to Lucas like years and years ago, like in 2022, and like he was in the high ticket space and stuff like that, and he was telling me a bit about it. But like, yeah, there's never going to be a good time. Like, just do it. Like, it will change your life because I think just having the skill, just being able to make money with it and do it from anywhere in the world, I'm sure you'd agree. Like, it's so much better than being in an office and taking the traditional path. I think, in general, like, everybody's made for much more than that. 100%.
Mm, yeah. And I couldn't care less how much hours I'm working. As long as I have the ability to go where I want when I want, couldn't care less. I'd work as many hours I need to kind of put that up because I can't even fathom. I was talking to a friend about this the other day. No offense if you are working a traditional job, which most people are watching this video. I haven't done a traditional job for, I don't know, 3, 4 years now. I think the last time I worked in Bunnings was like 4 years around that range, maybe 4 or 5. I can't fathom the fact that I have to ask someone for time off or that I can't just up and go when I want to. Like right now, I'm in Vienna, Austria. I'll be back in Dubai next week. Like to be able to have and I was in UK last week before as well. Like to be able to have the capacity to do that, to travel, to make my income online, so on and so forth. There's really nothing like it. And what I like to say is, for a lot of clients inside the RSA, when they earn their first dollar, they make their first sale like you did. It's a crazy
Yeah.
feeling because you actually get that proof of concept of, oh wow, this is actually real now. And
Yeah.
it's a blessing and a curse because once you've tasted online money and you've been able to make money online, you can't go back to anything else. Like I can't fathom that most people in the world, which is normal, it's accepted as normal, can't just pick up and go and travel where they want to. Or they have to ask the boss for time off, or they have breaks and things like that. Like it is crazy to me to even think about that.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. It is. And this skill is just like you can use it like forever, basically. So, you know, it's awesome.
How's your life changed as opposed to when you're working corporate? So you don't do any commutes anymore. Like what's
Yeah.
different in like your day to day?
I think in my day to day, it's like, if I really want to, like I can, just sit out on the deck, like make some breakfast, that sort of thing. I can, yeah, like you said, just have the freedom to actually travel where I want. Like actually, I don't know if I've told you, but I'm actually going to Thailand next month.
Nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So like I'll be going to Thailand, but like yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do that without, having learnt the skill, having had your mentorship. Yeah, I wouldn't be here today, like in this call right now, if it weren't for your help and like actually what you built. Yeah.
Of course. And are you meeting up with some of the RSA guys in Thailand as well?
Yeah, well hopefully, yeah, I think Rahul's going there. I think Rich is like pretty much always in Thailand. But yeah, I'll be meeting with one of my mates from Portugal. So yeah, that'll be cool. We'll
Oh,
be staying at a villa. There'll be like a beach. There'll be like a nice pool. So yeah, just
nice.
networking. I'm working and locking in. Yeah.
Where are you going in Thailand?
Koh Samui.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. There's nothing cooler than that. And I think I said this to Jax on one of our interviews as well. Like if you're watching this as a younger dude, the there is like no price that you can put on the feeling and the freedom and the experience that you will have if you work hard enough to achieve it one day. To where you can be making 10K plus a month, young dude, traveling the world, going to Thailand, living in a house with guys, all making money online, or doing sales as well. There is no feeling like that. Being able to travel and make income while you travel and not lose money while you travel is one of the most insane blessings and feelings and experiences you can have as a young dude. It is one of
Yeah,
the funnest, most coolest things you can do with your friends at a young age. If you're ever in the opportunity to do so, and you're in the position to where you can earn Wi-Fi money, online money, and do that, it's literally one of the best experiences you have in your entire life,
yeah.
hands down.
Like if I was 18 right now, like bro,
Yeah.
I'd say just do it. Like just get the proper mentorship and just sign up and just get going with high ticket sales, man. Like because it's definitely way better than anything else out there. 100%.
Yeah, it's always a question of like, what's more risky? Like the risk of your current situation staying the same, who
Mhm.
knows how many years that would have gone on, you working in corporate, selling fuel cards,
Well, that's the
hounding
thing,
people
man. I was
down.
like, exactly, that's the thing, because like I don't want to end up like I don't want to end up 30 and like in the same position. And I just know it's like not meant for me. It just doesn't feel right. Like, and I needed something like a different vehicle to have the life that I wanted. And yeah, I think high ticket sales is the way, and it's opened up a lot of doors for me. So yeah.
Beautiful, man. And what does your family think about all this? Like, what do they know about you
Um,
making money online? Do they think you're a drug dealer? Like, what's going on?
well, my mom, I'd say my mom, like, man, she's been like my greatest supporter, like for so long.
Awesome.
Like even when I was in my corporate sales job and stuff like that. But yeah, very supportive, which I'm very fortunate to have. Um, but yeah, like in terms of that, like actually I did have a friend though. I did have a friend. I told him about like high ticket sales when I was starting out, like during the RSA, and he was like, oh, you're like trying to pitch me, like you're joining some like MLM thing, and he was like, you're trying to scam me. I was like, bro, like I'm just trying to like show you like what I'm about to join. It's like because I knew like if I just stuck to it, I was gonna get the results. And he was like,
Mm.
oh, he was like, it was like, oh, I hope you get that 10K. It was like, I dare you to get that 10K, and I've actually hit it. So it's kind of funny the way
Well,
tables
you
turn.
can you can send him this interview after we're done.
Exactly. No, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's I think a lot of people, like you said, like I think you said like you sort of touched on that. There's this stigma around like what is even like internet money, like what is high ticket sales? Is all this stuff just like wishy-washy or whatever it is. But it's not. Like you just need the proper mentorship. Like Connor is someone who's very genuine. You need a good community and you will get the results you want if you just stick to it, you know? It's easier, it's hard, but it's easier than a lot of other things I'd say. Like it's easier than building a business, right? At the end of the day.
100% it is. 100% it is. Um, it's the same as like just learning to drive a new car, like drive a car
Yeah.
when you first start learning driving. Like it's probably terrifying. You've got your mum or your dad or someone who's teaching you in the side of the car. It's kind of terrifying. They're yelling at you all the time. You almost crash a couple times. Like it's
Yeah.
stepping into the unknown. Whether or not you're learning any industry for that fact, it could be studying anything at university, whatever else. Like you're always going to be learning something new, whatever you want to do in whatever capacity for a career. It's literally the same as here. There are people who've done what you want to do. So the very simple method is just to work with someone who's been where you want to go and who's done what you want to do, and then just follow the steps they've got planned out for you. It's pretty simple. But again, for a lot of people, that is a very scary thing to do. I understand that. I was terrified to do that. I'm not a hypocrite. I was terrified to do
Mhm.
that, 5, 6 years when I worked with my first mentor. It's a very hard thing to do to trust some random dude online with a bunch of your money. I get
Yeah.
that. Like I was terrified to do that myself, but there's really no, I like to say this a lot because it's one of my biggest flexes, which is I don't have a Patek, I haven't flexed that. I don't have a fast car, but what I do have is case studies. That's my biggest flex, and I love that, which is that I've got so many people results that they're willing to sit on an hour call like this, and really talk about their story and how the RSA has helped them achieve the results of transformation they've been looking for. There's literally people can go do their research as much as they like. High ticket sales, best results in the industry, hands down. For the community size, the time we've been around, best results, nothing can even come close. And in
Yeah.
terms of making money online as an industry, best results. There is very few people that you can go and find on YouTube that have 38, will be 41 by the end of this week, full hour-long length case studies of people talking about their journey, their transformation, the results they've gotten. It just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. Like we literally are the top 1% of results in making money online. It's a
Yeah.
thing I'm very proud about personally because I was very worried when I first started this business. I never wanted to be that guru or that marketer that's you can do this super easy overnight. It's very simple, blah, 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 blah. Like I always wanted to be very transparent and actually get results for people. I'm very proud of like the kind of client list we've built and the type of results we've gotten.
Yeah.
And on top
Yeah.
of that, as the cherry on top, nearly 300 members in the last 2 years, just completely organically and through referral. Crazy.
And it just felt so like natural. Like this whole thing just felt like so natural from like joining the RSA, like to getting the results that I want. It wasn't like, yeah, it just felt like very planned out, like the coursework, showing up to calls, all of that stuff. It just feels, yeah, very structured in a way that you can just follow it and it's not complicated, basically. Yeah.
I'm glad to get that feedback. Um, if you were starting out, talking to Dylan 5, 6 months ago, like what would you tell a beginner that's trying to get into this or wants to get into high ticket sales?
Um, I'd probably just say, I just say join, like just take the leap, do it. Like you've got one life, just do it. Like you won't regret it. Like especially with RSA, like you're in safe hands. Like you'll be all good. If you just once again put in the work, just show up, you don't give up, you have faith, you will get the results that you want. 100%. Yeah.
I love that. And if you had some of your biggest learnings in the space over the last 5, 6 months, you've done a lot of volume, you've done a lot of calls, you've seen a lot of what works and what doesn't. Like, what would you say your biggest lessons or learnings have been after being in the space for around 6 months?
I'd say just probably just having grit, just like being able to not give up and also just like push the threshold a little bit further. See how far you can go. Whether that's just like attending like a call, whether that's like making another dial or something like that. Just keep pushing your threshold, and also just network as much as you can. Because once again, like if you just talk to that right person, they may just give you an opportunity. But like at the same time, like make genuine connections. So I'd say that's been like probably some of my biggest learnings as well. Yeah.
Why would you say work ethic is so important?
I'd say because work when it comes to like work ethic and like if you're on an offer, right, you might just think like the offer might be really good, but if you're not like working hard enough, like you might just think it's the offer itself that's a problem, and then you might just go offer hopping. Like I even saw that in myself. I was like, oh, like is this gonna work out? Like on my first month, I think I made 1.8 thousand. Then my second month, I made like 4.6. And then, but I was a bit unsure as well. Like I was like, oh, is this offer gonna work out? But I just stuck to it, and then I got the results that I wanted. Yeah, through work ethic and just through sticking on the offer instead of like getting the shiny object syndrome and saying, oh, maybe that offer is going to be good. Of course, it's good. Offer acquisition is great, but like if you can just stick to it, same thing applies to like RSA. If you just stick to it, you will
Mm,
eventually like get what you want. Yeah.
that makes sense. It's a big thing I see with a lot of young guys, which is that the grass isn't always greener.
Well,
And
that's the
it,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, you go.
Yeah. Exactly. Because it's like you can try like so many different things, but you just need like the right vehicle. And if you just stick to it, like you will eventually like have some sort of outcome happen. So yeah.
I think to touch on that, I think that a lot of people, a lot of young guys fail to understand that, like, let's say we're talking about like business models here. Um, it every time that you start a new business model, whether or not you're doing e-com, drop shipping, crypto, trading, forex signals, Amazon FBA, Kindle republishing, like
Yeah.
there's so many different business models that exist out there and they all work. But the fact is if you keep going down one business model for 6 months and then you chop and change, you're starting from completely zero in the next thing that you're doing.
Mm.
So I would say Dylan's advice and my advice for those who are looking to get into making money online and really make this stuff work is pick one thing and just stick with it. If it's high ticket sales, fantastic. If it's something else, it's whatever. But I know how desperate I was to hit that 10K a month when I was first starting out and make my first dollars. Like there, which just was, I would do absolutely anything to make it work. I just saw so many other guys doing it. I saw all the reels on Instagram. I saw all the posts, all these guys traveling the world. Like I want it as bad as I want to breathe. And I just wish someone had told me at that young age was just instead of flip-flopping a million different business models over 2 years, which is
Yeah.
what I did, I could have just picked one thing, got a mentor, stuck with it, and I would get to where I wanted to go. Like I
Well,
wasted
that's
so
the
much
thing.
time flip-flopping. Yeah,
Same. Like I wasted a lot of time like doing different things like but at the end of the day, like it's high ticket sales just makes a lot of sense. It's like it's not like you're building up like a massive business. Once again, it's like not easy, but like if you just stick to it, if you get the proper mentorship, like essentially, it's not like with building a business, it takes a lot of like obviously it takes a lot of work from what I understand. So it's not like that, but it's easier than that, I'd say, if
for
that makes
sure.
sense.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it does. What would you say your goals from here, man? So now you're at 13.5K. What do you want to do in terms of scaling your commissions? Like, what's the next step for you over the next 6 months?
I think, yeah, definitely like scale up to 20K. Um, and then probably just like travel a lot more. I like to travel, network as much as possible. Um, yeah, that's would pretty much be my goals for now. Yeah.
Yeah, going from
Consistently hit it. And
making,
also,
yeah,
exactly. And also like invest in myself as well. Like whether that's mindset or skill set as well. And just keep going on that path. Yeah.
that's awesome. Going from, 2, 3K a month around that range, 4K,
Hmm.
something like that, to
Yeah.
now, aiming for 220 something thousand dollars a year is a
Yeah.
pretty big transformation, I'd say.
Hmm. It's gonna be bit. It's gonna be obviously it's a massive goal, but like it'll take time, but we'll get there eventually. Yeah.
You'd be surprised of how much closer it would be than you think, actually. Because I would say what I say to most of my clients who get to this level of where you're at, it's the most hardest peak that you'll climb, the most hardest summit you'll climb is that 10K a month because there's so much going against you, beliefs,
Mm.
people, no one around you's doing it. You're kind of just in your bedroom trying to figure this out. There's no one around you in person that you know that's making money online. There's a lot that's going against you, and there's a lot of hard work that takes to get to that final threshold. But once you've hit it, I'm not saying that life is easier afterwards, but what I am saying is that for a lot of guys that are listening to this interview who are looking to hit that threshold and get to that first 10K and climb that summit, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. But once you've done it, then it's a lot easier to actually start stacking cash and start making more money there afterwards. It's just that first 10K is probably the most difficult thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think yeah, it's like I suppose 20K is like massive as well, but like yeah, that first initial 10K, yeah, it's like I think the analogy you use, it's like a massive mountain and like the clouds are like covered and you're up there. You know we can get there, but it's more so like how do we actually get up there? And so yeah, I suppose that was like it was a massive like leap for me to actualize that as well. Like actually knowing that I can make, 10, 15K or 13K, you know, in like a
Yeah,
month.
because
Yeah.
because once you've done it, you know that you can do it again. And
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
instead of not knowing the way down and up the mountain, you now know the way up the mountain. So once you've figured it out, once you have the beliefs you can do it, I've very rarely seen someone once they've hit 10K a month, not have the ability to get back there, especially doing
Yeah.
sales, right? You can always
Yeah, it's
figure it out.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that as well, like, because I think I was talking to AJ like months ago, and he was saying that like it'll happen quicker than you think. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, it actually does happen a lot quicker than you think, like getting
Yeah.
your goals and actually achieving them. But I didn't even
If
expect it, but I suppose I wrote it down and it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the only key caveat to that is that you're a hard worker and that you
Yeah.
show up, right?
Mm.
So after being an RSA for quite some time now, you've already given some feedback earlier on this interview, but I wanted to directly ask you, after being in the RSA for 5 months, what would your general feedback be after being in the community for a while, interacting with the people inside of there, interacting with me, communicating with me, coming to coaching calls, getting support, talking to Lucas, so on and so forth? Like, what would your general feedback be of the RSA?
I'd say it's all you really need to get to the point that you want to get to that 10K above that. And also just it opens up tons of doors. Like the people you get to meet, the people you get to network with, like the friends you can make as well. Um, yeah, pretty much like it's all you really need to get to to where you actually want to go. 100%.
Awesome. And what do you think out of everything that you've seen there, like, and everything that you've gotten as a part of the community, what do you think was the most important factor that resulted in getting to where you wanted to go?
I think for me it was like it was being able to network with people as well, like being around people who had achieved the results that I wanted to, but also just getting like really good advice, like on calls from you, from Lucas. Um, being able to soak up the information, write it down, learn and implement it. And that was like, I'd say the biggest thing for me actually. Yeah.
And more like the hands-on feedback and support from experienced
Yeah.
people, basically.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Cool.
And just having something
And
to actually follow too, like definitely. Yeah.
do you want to go deeper on that?
Yeah, I mean, just having something to follow, like in terms of like a structure, like coursework, um, calls like every week, and there's a lot of calls as well that you can actually join and hop into there. And then also like, for example, being able to like DM you as well, like if I have any
Mm.
questions, that's like super helpful. Knowing that actually someone's in your corner that give you a hand and help you out, and even if like you have like if you're unsure, if you're having like uncertainty about an offer, for example, you can ask Connor. Or like if your script's like a little bit funny, you can ask Connor, or ask Lucas. And I think that's really helpful, definitely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I guess if it isn't already obvious, how likely would you be to recommend the RSA to a friend or really anyone?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, for sure. If anybody's looking to get into high ticket sales, this is like this is definitely the place to learn. Definitely.
Fantastic, man. Super happy to hear that. Is there any final notes you wanted to finish off on today? Is there anything that you wanted to finalize? Anything you wanted to share?
Um, Nothing much, but yeah, just I'd say just watch as many interviews as you want. For example, for me, like what gave me the faith was like watching that first interview that got sent to me, which was like with all those guys there making 10 to 20, 30K a month. Like just seeing it actually work and then doing it yourself is awesome. And just knowing that it's a proof of concept and then I can go further from here. And if you do it, you can go further from where you are at as well. So yeah,
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. Well, guys, you've heard it here first from Dylan. He's a normal guy. I'm a normal guy, right? I really like to simplify most of my clients down as well as myself, just to get you guys to realize that this is so possible. Um, Dylan and I are no different to you. It's just a representation of the right vehicle, the right space, the right support, the right community, and time. Time takes time, right? Just putting the right inputs in for a certain amount of time and being consistent with things. That's really all that it takes, right? So if you want to be anything like Dylan, guys, there'll be a link down in the description box where you can go ahead and fill in a type form, an application, to see if you would be a fit for the RSA. Now, give it a tiny little bit of effort. We do cancel applications every single week. If you put in the reason you want to join the community as money or just the word money, then we do deny applications all the time. This is not a scarcity tactic. It happens all the time. We only want to speak to people who are super, super committed and super really wanting to make this work. Hence why we get such great results with people, because we work with guys like Dylan, we work with guys like all the other cases in the channel. That's why we get great results, because we work with great people. We are fantastic from a training perspective and a support perspective, but we work with the best people. And so if you're watching this right now and you think you're somewhat like Dylan and the other cases of the channel, we can get results for you. You just have to be willing to be committed, show up, and actually do the work, just like Dylan has, right? So if you're curious and you want to do the same transformation that Dylan's gone through, go ahead and apply. But otherwise, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the interview, and we'll see you guys in the next one.